make our flaky pie dough.
It's great.
And it's so fun to be doing this with you, Matt, because Matt is our biggest fan of fruit pies.
Yes.
Biggest fan. So I think this is important that you know how to make this.
Great.
So what we have on the mixer is we have all-purpose unbleached flour. We have a little bit of salt. What we're going to add to it is our chilled butter that I've cut up in these little pieces. And then we have some shortening, some palm fruit shortening, which is a non-trans fat shortening. But it's at room temperature, so it'll go in nicely, so it'll mix nicely.
And that helps with the flakiness of
It does.
Great.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, I'm going to start this up, and then we'll finish it with some ice water. Anyways, I'm just going to add this in. Hopefully it won't spit and sputter too much. What we're doing is we're cutting the butter into the flour. Cutting it in is one thing, but the mixing will make a tougher crust.
So why the cold water, the ice water?
So when the butter and the shortening bake, they will evaporate and leave that flakiness. And if it doesn't stay cold, then you will just mush all that together.
I see. Okay.
And so you don't have the layers, you don't keep the layers. So if you want to look in here on the mixer, you can see it's beginning to cut in nicely. If we let it go, you know, for 5 minutes, it would all become one piece. It would warm up the butter and it would become a mush. So we're going to catch it right about here. You can see how it's looking wetter in the center. That means you need to put this in. So we've got our shortening. Small
bit pieces.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it just blends in a little better, and this will bring it together quickly. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off because it's bringing it together too quickly. So I'm going to just mix this really kind of. I just want to. Okay, it got a little warmer than I wanted it to, but it's all good. So and then we want to put a half a cup of ice water in. So I'm going to add this all at once, and then I'll jog it. Okay. All right. So let's just put this here.
Okay, and you want me to wrap this?
Yes, please.
And then throw this in the freezer?
You can put that in the refrigerator. And we'll let it chill for about 2 hours. The next step we have to do in making our apple pie is we have to pre-bake our apples. I cut the core off like that, and then I just cut it into slices like so. What we're going to end up using is about 8 apples, 8 medium-sized apples. So like these guys are a little smaller, so I'm going to add one more extra in. Okay, so I'm just kind of tossing this. You know, it might work better if I had a little bigger bowl, but you know. Okay, we're going to spread these guys out. And so the sugar sweetens them. The flour thickens the moisture that comes from the apple juice. And the baking intensifies the flavor. So that's why we do this. I'm going to bake these apple slices for about 20 minutes. There we go. Awesome. See, look at all that juice. See, that's all the juice that would be making a soggy bottom for our pie crust. So that's why we do that. So I took our pie dough recipe that we had made and I divided it into 2 pieces. So this will be our bottom and this will be our top. And by putting it in a disc shape, it just makes it a little easier to roll out. That's all. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'll do the bottom and then I'll have you do the top. How's that?
Terrific.
Okay, so the trick to a nice pie is having the crust not too thick. So I'm doing this a little large and I'm going to cut it down. I'm just going to kind of round these edges up. Whoops. Okay.
That's great.
So what we're looking for is an overhang of about an inch or so. I don't want this to be too thick, and so I'm just going to trim it. Now, this will be your opportunity. You roll it out, And then we'll use this as our circle. That'll go right on the top. There you go. Okay, let's feel that. Make sure that it's even all the way around. Feels pretty good. So here is our circle. Look at that. Perfect. Let's cut around it with the little paring knife. So what we're going to do is, I think we're just going to cut some vents. You always have to have vents in a pie so that the steam will evaporate. So now what we're going to do is we are going to load our apples in. When you're loading them in, you don't just want to pile them. You kind of want to tuck them in there. We are going to dot the pie with a kind of a compound butter that's made with sugar, cinnamon, flour. Okay, I'm just going to dot this. Would you mind just egg washing the perimeter? We want to seal the top on.
Sounds great.
That's okay. All right, so now we're going to load this on top. So really what I'm going to do is I'm just lining up the edge of the pie tin, just like that. And then by pushing it down, you're sealing it. What we need to do is we need to put a little bit of egg wash on the outside here so that when we do our fluting, it has something to glue to.
Okay.
So I'm just going to lift this over. I'm kind of bringing it into the pie there. Okay, so now I've got it sealed up like that. So now we're going to crimp.
Okay.
And sometimes you need to have a little flour on your hands.
Okay.
But we're just going to do this. We're just making this little detail.
Every inch or so?
Yeah.
If that?
Yeah. You just gotta, so there you go. So now we're gonna egg wash it.
Okay.
And this will actually, we're gonna freeze this to really chill it well. And when we freeze it, it could dry out. And so this egg wash helps to seal it so it doesn't dry out. Doesn't get like a skin on the crust. Okay, does that look pretty well covered? Because if you have missed a spot, it will show up like a, thank you, like a sore thumb. So now I'm gonna put some of this kind of crystal sugar on it.
Okay.
So remember, this pie dough has no sugar whatsoever. So it just has salt in it, and so this will add a nice sweetness to it. Great. So now what we're going to do is we're going to chill this for about 20 minutes.
Okay.
And I'm going to put it in the freezer. So, I mean, that's what really, it really chills the butter, so you get the nice flaky texture in the pie dough. Here we go. So that's nicely chilled. Nice and hard.
Yeah, it really is.
So I'm going to put this in the oven at 375. So I have a convection oven here. So that would be 400 in a still oven.
Okay. How long are you going to bake it for?
Probably about an hour.
Okay.
But we'll keep an eye on it.
Okay.
Gosh, let's take a look. Oh, man.
Oh, wow.
This looks great. All right,
Looks
set this
great.
over here. Boy, it looks good enough to eat, huh?
It sure does. Can't wait.
But you can't eat this right away. This is really hot right now. So you want to let this cool for about an hour, and it can be enjoyed anytime, this evening. I hope this inspires you to make a pie at home. Truly, the most intimidating part is the pastry dough, or the pie dough, and you saw it right here in action. This is the perfect season, perfect time of year for apples, pears, and etc. If you need more inspiration, we have 2 cookbooks. It's packed with wonderful recipes of double-crusted pies, fruit, tarts, etc. The recipes from this segment will be found on our website at macrinabakery.com. So please take a look. Maybe you'll be inspired to bake something else. Have a great holiday.